Those of you that have not done a class with me before, really pay attention to this part, because the attack position, what I'm going to talk about right now, is single-handedly the most important thing you'll ever learn on a dirt bike. The way I teach this is the way you should do the checklist when you're on the bike, all right? So from the feet up. One of the most important things about riding is going to be your feet. We want to ride on the balls of our feet. Everybody know what that means? So we're not on our heel, we're not on our arch, and we're not too much on our tippy toe. Can you guys see where the wear on my boot is?
Yep.
Where is it? Right there, right in the balls of my feet, right? And good thing it is, because that would have been a bad example if it was worn in a bad spot. Look at it. These are very old boots and they're worn perfectly right where they should be. Thank God. All right. You ride on the balls of your feet because it allows maximum ankle flexion. Those of you that are riding on your heels, you're meeting that first point of contact from the track to the bike with that harsh contact, with no flexion, with no travel in your body's suspension. Just imagine somebody jumping up for a rebound in basketball and landing like this on their heels. Imagine somebody running track and they're just running around on their heels. It doesn't work because you have no flexion at that ankle and you're not able to use your body's suspension travel. Imagine somebody taking a couple inches of travel out of your forks or your shock. It wouldn't work, all right? That's the first point of contact. It needs to be met with that soft ankle flexion so that you can absorb that impact. You guys that are riding on your heels, you're gonna feel that impact through your feet and it's gonna go all the way up through your head. Balls of your feet is where it begins, all right? Now we wanna have our toes pointed in, just a little bit. Those of you that are standing on your bikes, stand next to them for a quick second. Those of you that have done this before, just do it again. Stand off your bikes, put your feet shoulder width apart. This will make it very apparent very quickly on why we do this. Point your toes out. Shoulder width apart. Now try to grip your knees. I can't touch my knees at all. I'm pretty bow-legged, but I can't make contact at all. Those of you that are riding like this, think about that. You're trying to make contact with that frame, with those shrouds to grip, and you're not able to make that contact. Now point your toes straight. You're able to get a little bit more grip strength, right? You're able to make contact with your knees, but you're consciously thinking about grip, grip, grip. Reason I say point your toes in, now hinge, lock your knees. As soon as I hinge, my hips are unlocked. As soon as I get into what I would call the attack position, my knees are locked. In fact, it's hard for me to pull my knees away from each other. So you get your toes pointed in, your heels driven out just that little bit, and it will drive those knees automatically into the shroud. So those of you that struggle with arm pump, anything like that, gripping the bike with your legs is 100% the most important thing you could do. Driving your knees into the shroud is going to help with that. Those of you that are riding with your toes out, you could sit there and think grip, grip, grip all day long, but you're not going to be able to have as much grip strength as you need. All right? Balls of your feet, toes pointed in. Knees. Not only are they gripping, but they need to be behind the foot pegs. When you guys watch me ride, you never see me here on the bike. You might see my upper body and my chest very far forward, but you'll never see my knees go in front of the foot pegs when I'm standing up. What do you guys see wrong with that picture? If I was standing up with my knees here, where would all my weight be? All my weight would be to the front of the bike. The reason we ride in the attack position is it's a neutral balance position on the bike. You guys throwing your knees and your hips to the front, throwing your knees and your hips off the back, making your adjustments from front to back, it's unsettling the suspension every step of the way. It's not a balanced position to be in. Especially on a track like this where you have jump after jump after jump, it's a very unsafe spot to be in on a bike. All right, knees behind the foot peg. So when you do your checklist, all right, balls of my feet, toes pointed in, knees back. You do that, just look down. If you can't see your toes, you can't see your boot, your knees are too far forward. Drive those knees back. Next thing is gonna be hips. So for somebody like Austin, this is still your biggest thing. You think about it and sometimes you get here, but when you jump, a lot of times, what do? Everything kind of, you roll your back and your hips come forward, which drives your knees to the front of the bike. You're really tall, so that's gonna over-exaggerate it even more. Just not a good spot to be in on the bike. Anytime you stand, even when you're jumping, you're working here. You're not working here, right? When I say hips unlocked, anybody that hasn't done my class, have you heard this term before? Have you guys done a class or you just haven't been here? Neither. Hips unlocked, what that means is basically you're gonna poke your butt out. You're gonna have a flat back or even an arch in your back because you're so far unlocked, right? It's gonna disconnect your lower body from your upper body. So the beauty of this is I can sit here all day long, work the bike underneath me while keeping my chest and my chin straight and centered where I want it to be. I can let that bike get squirrely underneath me. I can let it do whatever it wants. I can let it work through the braking bumps without it affecting from the waist up. This is so key. Your chest and your chin need to be pointed where you want to go. Those of you that are locked, so if your hips are driven forward, it's driving your knees forward. It's giving you a rolled back, kind of like a hunchback, right? What this is going to do is it's going to connect your lower body to your upper body. Why is this a problem? Because anytime you hit a bump, a rut, a log if you're riding in the woods, a jump, anything, you're going to feel that point of contact at your feet all the way through your body. What I'll do is, not today, but normally I put people up on the stand, and what I'll do is I'll say, wiggle your hips. If somebody's locked, what does a hip wiggle look like? A hip wiggle turns into a full body wiggle, right? If I say unlock your hips and wiggle your hips, it's pretty easy to do. But if you're locked, a hip wiggle is now a whole body wiggle. That is a huge, huge problem on the bike. Anytime you do that, you're gonna feel it through your body. If you get sideways in the whoops and you're locked, guess what? It's gonna wanna whip you right off. You see guys all the time, top riders in the world, get sideways in the whoops, and it's not that much of an issue because their lower body's doing the work, their upper body's staying straight. It's when you see us, if our upper bodies are here, or here, or here, that's when things get dangerous, and that's when you know we're probably gonna end up on the ground. As long as our chest and chin are straight, that rear end can be, anyone see me in my warm-up, the first lap I went to go kind of just soak that jump up and I cased it completely sideways. I wasn't concerned at all because my upper body was straight, I landed on the throttle, and I kind of soaked it up when I landed, it just pulled me back straight. Where I'd say if there's 20 of us here, I would say 17 of you guys would have crashed in that situation. A few of you would have been safe. That's just because I'm in that correct position, right? So hips unlocked, that's gonna drive your butt off the back, knees back, chest forward. So we don't wanna have everything else back and our chest back as well because that's too much weight to the rear. Our chest needs to be up over the front of the bike, all right? Elbows should basically, when you're stationary in that position, your elbows should be at 90 degrees. Chin up because we're looking ahead. That's the reason why Ryan Hughes doesn't like when people wear neck braces. I would never tell anybody not to wear one, but it stops that movement. So when you're here, a lot of those neck braces will stop the head movement up. It'll keep your head looking down. So to correct that, what people will do is they'll drive their hips and their knees forward, pulling their upper body vertical so that they can see. Then you're in a dangerous position on the bike. That's the only reason he says that. That's the reason I stopped wearing one. It's because I found that when I was in the whoops, I was looking here, and it was very difficult for me to get my head up and look where Morgan is there, right? When we work within the attack position, it needs to be up and down, not forward and back. So working within the attack position looks like this. It's like you're doing a squat at the gym and like you're doing a push-up. What it isn't is it's not like we're doing a row. We're not going forward and back, we're going up and down. It's easier said than done. A lot of you guys that are uncomfortable in that position, it's gonna feel very awkward when we're on the bike. Just know that throughout the day, if I'm yelling at you, it's probably gonna be for one of those reasons.